Hey, audit and fraud friends and family. I got a question for you. Who do you call when your computer breaks? Oh, wait, and another question. How do you know that you can trust the person that you call on the other end of the phone? All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Can you fix my computer? Episode number 147. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right, so you heard my question. Have you ever had to take a computer to a computer repair shop? Or have you ever had to call a hotline to get your computer fixed? And if you did you really trust the information that you were getting on the other end of the line? So listen, without further ado, let's just bring her up. Christine,
Hello, happy Friday.
have you ever had to make one of those tech support calls?
I did. I'm trying to remember what it was. Well, it was like the Google, it wasn't like an iPad. I think it was like a Google product or whatever. And all of a sudden it just like stopped working. And I think it ended up being like just over a year old. So it was outside of its warranty.
Ah.
And then I was just like, I'm not dealing with that. But otherwise, no. And because I've worked for organizations that have IT departments, so they solve all my issues.
Now what about back in the day though? Remember the AOL days? Did you ever have to call AOL and ask for help?
No. And I mean, when I remember the AOL days, I grew up with computers in my house. So my first computer we had a Commodore 64 at our house with a
Ooh,
floppy disk. It helped me with my math homework because my neighbor taught me how to run programs.
nice. I remember the Commodore 64s and the VIC 20s, but anyway, we're not going to age ourselves. Here's what's funny. Do you remember when AOL, America Online, for those who don't know, that was like one of the first companies to offer internet access? Do you remember when they were going out of business and people kept calling trying to cancel and they would do everything they could to not get you to cancel?
I don't remember that. I know that we had AOL. I know we had it because every time somebody says AOL, that connection noise goes off in my head.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I was young enough that my parents would have had to have dealt with that. They would have been the ones that bought it. Like I was still living at
Oh,
home. I
that's
was in
right. I'm the
middle.
old guy here.
You're not that much older than I am.
You know what though? So if you go to YouTube and you type in America Online cancellation or something like that, there were people who would upload videos later on to YouTube where they recorded themselves trying to cancel their America Online subscriptions. And one dude stayed on the phone for like 30 minutes. He just kept screaming at them, cancel my subscription. But I digress. So back in the day, you used to have to call America Online a lot because none of us knew how to use the internet. And you would always support. And I remember when you would buy a computer, sometimes you didn't even know how to use your printer. And we were calling tech support a lot because we were trying to figure stuff out. Nowadays, you just go to Reddit or you just ask a friend or you just figure it out. I mean, computers are kind of easy nowadays the way you can just figure stuff out. So the question that I have for you all today, have you ever had to call tech support and how did you know that you could trust the people from tech support that you were calling? So let's go to our audience. Let's go to our audience. Leslie is here, our conflict strategist. If you ever have any conflict, call Leslie. Stephanie is here. She says, hey, from, wait, who is this? Wait, Stephanie from Colorado? Wait a minute. Let me see. No, no, no. This is Carol Lyman from Colorado. I was about to say, Stephanie, you don't live in Colorado. Right, especially when the tech support number pops up on your screen. That's the point we're going to get to today. Because you're using your computer and all of a sudden you get this message popping up saying something is not working. Call this number. Clarence is here from Baltimore, Maryland. Daniel is here from South Africa. And Stephanie says her husband is the tech support in her house. Like hers. See, now Mike remembers the free month disc that you would get. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I did not remember that till Mike said that. The disc, they would send you the disc in the mail to
Yep.
get a free month. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it was something like $35 a month, but with the disc you could get a free month, and sometimes you could get 50% off for like 6 months and all that good stuff. Yeah, yeah. Now Marsha is saying that her daughter is her tech support, especially when you get those pop-ups. Yeah.
And those pop-ups are horrible because I just bought a new personal laptop for some volunteer work that I do. And the amount of stuff that is automatically on there, like I feel like there's 5 different antivirus programs. Every single time I turn it on, it's like, buy me. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and what is it? Norton is the worst. A lot of computers come with Norton preloaded, and I don't want Norton. I have a few other things that I use that I like a lot better nowadays. So, but yeah.
I've heard that there's a lot of free ones out there that are really good.
Yeah, there's some freemium ones. There's just one free one that I like, but I liked it so much I upgraded to this suite that they have that really watches over your computer, whether you're online, offline, it scans it, it tells you all kinds of things that you need to know. And Leslie is getting directly to a point that we're going to make here today. And she said, and I live in a community of older residents. I have had to help more than one of them unravel the fraud done to their accounts because they Googled tech support and ended up talking to bad people. Yeah. And now Stephanie says Norton is awful. I like Kaspersky. Now listen, you gotta watch out for that one too, Stephanie. So I tell you with that one, and this is just a side note. So there's been some controversy surrounding that one because they had a critical let's say flaw in their program 1 or 2 years ago, but also there are some concerns that it may leak data back to the Russian government because it's a Russian owned software. But um, it's free and it was the one of the really good ones for a period of time. So now Marsha is saying that her husband is always clicking on those pop-ups and he messes up his computer because he won't listen and not click them. Right.
I need to
So
get something for my computer, but right now I literally access a Google spreadsheet and an online banking platform. I don't do anything else.
ah okay, okay.
I know
So
I'm not being
now,
very diligent.
yeah, shame on you. And you're an auditor, Christine. Okay. We're not gonna audit shame. I'm gonna stop it.
I don't do
I'm
IT
gonna
audits.
You don't, but you know you should be protecting your computer
I know. I know.
because you're in the banking sector. Know how it is in the banking sector.
Oh yeah, I do. But I mean, yeah. So I got to look at it. But like for like the internet, the only thing, like I said, I'm accessing is those. I don't click around. I don't know if that still opens me up to anything.
Eh, possibly, possibly. Ooh. So I got a funny story to tell you all. Funny story. So I worked with this one guy. His name was Rick, and I worked with him a long time ago. And one day we were all just sitting in the office, and Rick came up to us, and Rick said, "Hey, how do you undelete something that you accidentally deleted?" And so, we kind of walked over to him and said, "Listen, you just go to your recycle bin and you undelete it from within your recycle bin. And he said, okay, thanks. And he left and he came back about an hour later and he said, well, can you tell me, is there another way that you can undelete something that you deleted? And I'm thinking,
At what point did you ask him, well, what did you delete?
okay, so another guy named Jeff was like, right, what did you delete and how serious and significant was this thing? And so he told us, and I don't remember what it was now. But then Jeff asked him, and it's like, well, didn't you just go to the recycle bin like we told you? I mean, that's the most efficient way. And he said, well, I mean, is there like an undelete key for the delete key? And we were like, what do you mean? And so it took about 30 minutes, and he finally said to us, well, I deleted it from the recycle bin too.
It's gone.
Yeah, so Jeff kind of looked at him and was like, so you mean to tell me that you hit the delete key one time and deleted it, then you went over to the recycle bin and you deleted it again? And now you want to know, is there another way to undelete something that you deleted from the recycle bin? And he said, yeah, that's what I was trying to ask. And Jeff was like, there is no stupid button on the computer.
But was he asking to make sure it was gone off of his computer? That's the way that I would be thinking about it.
He was actually trying to retrieve it. So he actually deleted it, then went into the recycle bin and deleted it again and was trying to figure out how to undelete the deleted item that he deleted twice. Not once, but twice.
I'm sure if you had an IT person that really knew how to dig, they might be able to, but
yeah, now there is a way, but now Stephanie is saying, and most people do not have antivirus on their phone, the biggest source of compromise in full account takeovers. Yeah, I actually do have antivirus on my phone. Do you have antivirus on your phone, Christine?
yes, I do. I have to.
Oh, yeah, you do. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have to. No, I'll get something added on it.
Now, back to Leslie's point. What infuriates me the most is when it happens to older adults. I think that they are the most vulnerable. I was telling Christine before we hopped on here, about a month, maybe 2 months ago, maybe a little longer now, my mom called me in a panic, frantic, and she just said, I think somebody's trying to steal my identity. And obviously I asked her, well, why do you think that? And so like 3 days later, no, I'm just kidding. After talking to her and pulling a lot of information from her, I figured out that she had somehow, I still don't know how, I just stopped trying to figure it out, got in touch with a scam company that pretended to be tech support, and she had given them access to remote into her computer to quote unquote fix something that was broken. We were able to determine that they kind of looked around and didn't find anything that was actually worth getting. So they didn't have any credit card numbers or anything like that. But she actually let strangers into her computer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I thought that was just insane, but apparently it's happening to a lot of elderly folks. So much so in today's story, over in the UK, 5 people who helped launder proceeds of approximately 1.2 million pounds computer scam have been jailed. Now, the fraud targeted elderly and vulnerable people, tricking them into paying out thousands of pounds to fix non-existent IT problems. Between May of 2015 and November of 2019, the gang transferred the 1.2 pounds. 2 brothers in India had been posing representatives of HP, Microsoft, and to defraud their victims. What do you think?
That's a lot of money. And
Yeah.
looking through, I know it specifically noted how much one person paid, and I'm guessing that about just under 4,500 pounds. The reason why they mentioned him is because of probably how much he ended up paying. I'm guessing the rest of the individuals more than likely didn't pay that much in. Yeah, that's roughly 323,000 pounds a year that they were making on that.
Yeah, yeah. And so here's what these people do. Either they will send out these blast emails. As a matter of fact, my mom got a day. They'll send out these emails saying your computer is broken. Here to fix it, or your printer is offline. Please click here to fix it. And it'll come up with this official looking screen, even a 1-800 number sometimes for you to call. And it'll have either HP or somebody's logo on it. And it looks real by all practical purposes. It looks real. And they will get you on the phone and they will talk to you. Because I remember my mom said that it upset her so much that she actually started crying on the phone with the gentleman or with the freaking criminal.
Yeah.
And so they antagonize people, and first they seem real nice, and they tell you all of your bank information could be gone, or this could be missing. You need me to help you, and for a fee of $49.95, we can fix this problem for you. So I will say, the next time she got one of those emails, she knew to quickly delete it. But this is what these people did, and they racked in over 1 million pounds.
Well, the thing is I want to know how much these 5 individuals actually got, because it's specifically stating that once they received that money, they pushed it off to 2 brothers in India. So they were
Now,
money.
yeah. Now, they funnel the money to the 2 individuals in India to clean it. So that's how they laundered the money and made it quote unquote legit. But to your point, how much of it did they keep? Because there were quite a few people. So one person was 66 years old, another one was 39, another one was 49, another one was 40, another one was 50. And those are the people that actively participated. They were sentenced in Leeds court on Monday. And so the court heard the victims who were defrauded, or some for a flat fee and some for a scaling fee. But yeah, to your point, then you add the 2 individuals from India. So that's what, about 6 or 7 individuals. So how much did each person get?
I don't know. How much do people cut off the top to launder money? What is their going rate?
Yeah, yeah. Now, Stephanie is saying that most people have their passwords autofill on banking information, etc. Yeah, I don't do the autofill thing. And Marsha is saying that's what her husband clicked on, one of those notices saying, hey, something is not working. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Joe Horowitz, my friend, how are you doing? Listen, man, catch up. I hadn't talked to you in so long. It's been entirely too long. Joe is saying the movie Beekeeper starts off with a fake IT company that claims to fix a computer virus and then steals the woman's money.
I gotta watch that. So I don't know. This isn't worth it. So I did just some quick figures. So let's say, for instance, money laundering, they take a 10% cut, okay, off of the 1.2. Then I'm going to take and divide it by 5, because of the 5 individuals that would probably split the money, and then divide that by the 4 years that it was going, that they were doing it. They're each making $54,000 a year. At least I hope my math's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not worth it at all.
No. Yeah, I'm just double checking. Oh, no, 1, 2, 3 divided by 5.
And you know what's really interesting is in order to do this type of crime, you have to be somewhat savvy because you have to at least know how to remote into someone else's computer if you're like stealing information. I'm not sure if theirs was that sophisticated. Maybe they were simply saying, here's the problem. But from what I've read with most of them, they at least remote into the computer and find some small, minute problem that really doesn't require anything to fix. So you have to know how to remote into a computer, how to look around and find at least something that's wrong, unless you have a really easy mark. So imagine if they took that IT know how and applied it to something else.
Yeah, I mean, they had to know IT. Wondering where they got their equipment from kind of makes me wonder, did they use company? Like, did a couple of these people work for IT for a company and then just use their company computers to do it?
Oh, that's a good point. Now, Stephanie brings up another good point as well, though.
Mhm.
This is just what they proved. So there probably were a lot more victims out there. So and Joe Horowitz agrees exactly. Yeah, it's a very good point. It's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to remote in. I wouldn't even know where to start. But I mean, if we sit here and take a look at it, anybody can learn to do this. There's Google, places that will show you how. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Mike Hurst, he says, how do these people do it? I can't get my mom or dad to listen to me on tech solutions. Random Russians, though, listen up. And you know what? To Mike's point, I started off saying, my mom, it happened to her. Well, some people tried to trick her and I've always told her don't open attachments on emails. And I'm not sure, but I think that that's what she did. And now she won't do it to save her life. I sent her an email the other day from me and said, hey, I got something I want you to open and print off for me and do something with it. And she was like, but you told me not to open any attachments. So Mike, think about this. They never listen to us initially until something happens. It's the same way like when you're dealing with your children, right? Your children never listen to you. And then 20 years later, they come back and say, you always told me this when I was a child, but now I see that you were right all along. So,
Well, and so you do have this remote scam here, but also clicking open anything that you're getting in those emails. Now, I mean, I feel like there is ransomware on the rise that are attacking people as well. So they sit there and prevent you from accessing anything on your computer until you pay them money. Yeah, there's just a lot out there.
yeah, now Stephanie says remoting in is easy. Just send the link to the victim. They can fake a problem and get into someone else's online banking or tax records while distracting them. And Joe is a godsend. He says, I've done trainings for seniors and more planned this year on the dangers of computers
Mhm.
and hackers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephanie says the parents are worse than the children.
I don't know, man. My 12-year-old doesn't listen. I hope he's not listening to me now that I'm talking about him, but he's a good kid.
So listen now. An investigation into the money laundering was led by the National Trading Standards e-crimes team, which is based at the City of York Council and North Yorkshire Council. So apparently they worked with Microsoft and a few other agencies. As a matter of fact, a a general manager of cybersecurity policy and protection at Microsoft actually said Microsoft welcomes today's verdict and remains committed to working with governments and across industries to combat tech support fraud and hold perpetrators accountable. So tech support fraud is a huge thing, right?
Yeah, but how do you like I just sit here and think, how do you stop it? Like I know they said that they had like advertisements out there and stuff to get people to click and do that, but there's only so much scrubbing you can do online to
Yeah.
shut those things down. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can stop it on that end because you shut one down, another will pop up. I think the way to reduce it is to educate people, especially our seniors. I think the younger folks, I think now are a little bit more tech savvy, which is good and bad because some of them are a little bit more apprehensive. But then on the other hand, some of them are a lot more trusting and open. And so, they see it and they say, oh, it must be real. Let's just click it.
Mhm.
Ooh, now Joe says many government agencies are woefully unprepared. Yeah, yeah. And Stephanie says a malware scanner, and I agree. Well, malware scanners are great. I actually have one on my phone and on my PC. But if you're sitting there on the phone with someone and you've clicked on something and opened it, a lot of people have their malware scanners set up to scan periodically versus scanning in real time. So you definitely want it set up to scan in real time. But if they just load a device that helps you to remote in, that may not be caught as malware.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing too, like these individuals didn't know, but the scammer sat there and said they had an issue with their computer,
Yeah,
that there
yeah.
were issues and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't some I mean, as part of the issue that it wasn't easy for them. Oh, I do have a problem with my computer. Oh, sure, you can help me fix it. You're from HP, you're from Microsoft.
Yep.
Um, I think maybe just the education piece on the potential for that being a scam just wasn't there.
Yeah, well, and I think a big part of it too is first, don't click on anything that you've been sent.
Mhm.
Second, go directly to the manufacturer's or to the tech support's website yourself. Pull up the 800 number, especially if you get a phone call. My grandmother, before she died, she would get phone calls all the time. I guess she was on some sort of like old people scam call list. But she was funny because she would hang up on somebody in a heartbeat. But she would get these calls all the time, and I'd call her up and she'd be like, "Baby, I got a call from one of those scammer folks today." And it would just
Aw.
be so funny because, she would just, I know, well, what'd you do? Well, I hung up on them right away. So, but Leslie brings up a really good point. She says of the few victims that she was helping, they
Mhm.
initially felt embarrassed that they had a problem. So they found someone to help them so that they could fix their mistake without asking friends or family for help. Hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. I mean, I know a few people that have had issues and oh yeah, no, one of our good friends actually, they had a ransomware attack and they just unplugged their computer and brought it right into Best Buy's Geek Squad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, help
Absolutely.
us.
Ask for help. Marsha is saying too much is done online and it's easy to get hacked, especially if you use the same password for every. Wait, who's using the same password for everything? But no.
Yeah.
Joe is saying, unfortunately, seniors are very trusting. Also, Joe is saying many phone services also include free spam call scanners. Oh, wow. To weed out some of the calls. I didn't know that.
Hmm. I need one of those.
Right, right, right. But I guess too, like when you look at your phone nowadays and there's an incoming call, sometimes it'll say suspected spam. So I guess maybe that's what Joe's talking about. Joe, I did not know that at all. That is very good to know.
There's actually a guy who, oh, that's spam. Different subject. Forget me.
Wait, now Brent had a really good point, and I think I just lost it. It was somewhere back in the. Ah, I'll look for it and find it.
Yeah.
Oh no, Marsha said those calls had her hanging up on an interviewer once, and they emailed her right afterwards.
Did they get the job?
Yeah, yeah. Wait, were
Or
you
was it
being
like you were
interviewed?
interviewing for it, or were they interviewing for you?
Yeah. Well, and did you get the job, or did they get the job, or what happened? Yeah, I'm curious now.
Leaving us on the edge of our seat.
Oh, now Joe is saying that last year's winner of the worst password was Batman. You know what? Okay. Granted, Batman is a bad password, but if you look back for many years in a row, the worst password was actually password. So I mean, if we've gone past password as being our de facto go-to password, I'm a little bit happier. Still not happy, happier.
It reminds me of my daughter asking for the password for our Max streaming service or whatever. And so, like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, so this is what it is. But instead of E, it's a 3. And she looks at me, she goes, but why? I'm like, you'll understand. Nobody's hacking into your Google Classroom right now. Nobody's going to be turning in homework for you.
So okay. So we have some lessons learned from today's story though. One, don't click on unsolicited emails, especially with attachments. Two, don't do autofill for things online, right? Autofill username and password. But three, can we use a password generator? Like you can create it to be as complex as you want it to be. But now Joe is saying T-Mobile offers an app called Scam Shield. Never knew, and I am a T-Mobile customer. I've got to look into that.
Oh, look at that.
And Marsha is saying she was being interviewed and she did get the job.
I do use a password generator. All of my logins have a different password, and I got a lot, but it's got a keeper in it, so it keeps it. But there is MFA requirements in order for me to even get into that. So it is
Yeah.
something like I have my email in there, then I have the multi-feature authentication, but even before I can open that, it needs my thumbprint to open it to get me the code, and then I put the code in, and then I still have to put my password in.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
Now, Joe is saying the rule of thumb now is 12 characters or more for your password with complexity and MFA multi-factor authentication, meaning you have to do something else in order to be let in. So even if you enter your username and password, maybe you get a text message or maybe you get an email. You know, I'm wondering since we have Joe here. So Joe is our resident cybersecurity expert. So if you guys need
So
some
why didn't
cyber
you bring them
services,
in on this one?
well, I didn't. Joe is usually very busy. But Joe, since we have you here, what about that I forgot what it's called now where they will send you an email, and the email, once you click it, it automatically logs you onto whatever service that is. I forgot what that's called, but that's become popular nowadays too.
But what if you
And
have a takeover on your email, though? Would that increase the risk?
I guess I don't know, right?
Just
So
asking.
now everyone's talking about the password manager that they use. Stephanie is saying she uses one password and Joe uses Keeper. I like.
I've got Keeper.
Oh, there we go. Joe said phishing. Yeah. What? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do like Keeper. I wish I could have that on my smart TV for the streaming services.
Well, you know the trick to the streaming services though, right? Most of them nowadays have it where you actually go to a website and then
Mhm.
you enter a code from the website and it automatically logs you on from your phone based on the information you entered on the website on your phone.
Yep. So I do have that, but it's like I have to be like logged in on that streaming service on my phone for me not to have to re-enter the password.
True. Yes. But once you log in, it's logged in though, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Joe's bringing up another good point. Have a good router with security. I'm amazed at how many people use the same username and password that's taped on the back of their router to access the internet, right? Because I mean, if somebody breaks into your home, they can just look on the back of your router and now they've got your username and password. Go in and change that, yeah, or do it for your grandparents and then send it to them or write it down for them or something like that. Yeah.
I've got our Wi-Fi password on my whiteboard because the kids forget it.
I don't even know what my Wi-Fi password is. It's one of those real complicated, really long passwords. So I don't even know what it is. Not by heart, at least, you know.
I'm just trying to sit here and think. I might have two passwords because we have a mesh system too.
Ah, so if you're just joining us in today's story, at least 5 individuals were involved in a money laundering scam of about $1.2 million, 1.2 million pounds, where they targeted vulnerable victims. They have been sentenced to jail. The scam involved convincing victims of non existent IT problems and extorting money from them. The gang then transferred those funds to individuals in India under the pretense of fixing the computer issues and washing the money. So, all in all, the National Trading Standards e-crime team led the investigation. Microsoft and law enforcement agencies supported the investigation, and the convicted individuals received jail sentences ranging from 8 months to 4 years and were disqualified from being company directors in the future.
How long do you think they're gonna sit, or do you? I guess will they sit the entire time? I don't know if it's different in the UK for sentencing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Now, Joe brings up another interesting point. He said he doesn't use the cable company router. Never thought about that, but you can go and buy your own router and hook it up. They wouldn't stop you from doing that. Yeah. That's a
I
good
would. It's
point.
probably cheaper.
Probably so. Yeah. Although most of them give you the router for free nowadays. Back in the day, you used to rent the router. I don't know if anybody remembers that. You used to rent the router for a small monthly fee. And by the time you disconnected from them, you could have paid for like 10 routers.
Our company, our local cable company still does that. They charge, it's like $20 a month.
Oh, wow. 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 Very interesting. You should look into buying a separate router then and just hooking it up.
I
That's
have one.
highway robbery.
I have one, but now we got to look for, oh my gosh, because we got TDS coming in. So what is that? What kind of wiring is it?
What, the fiber optic?
Yeah, so we've got everything. It just needs to be hooked up into our house, but I think I have to buy a special one for that because I don't think our current one supports the fiber optic.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Wow, that's amazing. Companies are still charging a monthly fee for routers. The company that I use now does not charge a monthly fee for the router, and I only pay $50 a month. Um, I think 40,
Really?
50, something like that. Yeah.
We're like
We'll talk.
at almost $90. And that's without TV. Now you know
Wow.
why we're looking to go move over to this fiber optic because fiber optic, I think they lock us in at $25 a month for 2 years. And we almost get like twice as much bandwidth. And then it like caps off at like $50 a month.
Wow. Wow. Now Marsha brings up a good point. She says,
Mhm.
I hate it when so called friends visit and ask for the Wi Fi password, then gives it to their friends in the room. Wait a minute, who's doing that? No. You know what, Marsha? There are, I'm trying to think, there are some services that will allow you to give temporary access to your Wi Fi. And then in that case, like if I want to share mine, I can just show someone the QR code and then they just scan the QR code and it automatically converts over to their system. And then I can change it right after they leave, or I can set up a temp one.
Trying to
Yeah, there
send
you
in
go.
my.
Joe is saying guest network only. There you go. Yeah, yeah.
There is a house on the other side of town, and I don't know how I came across it, but they labeled their Wi-Fi FBI van. I don't think anybody's gonna try hacking into there.
That is genius. I think I'm gonna do that. Yep. Stephanie, your husband is very smart. She said her husband labels their devices and has to allow new people, even if they have the password. Yeah, you can restrict the devices that have access to your network, and also naming your devices helps as well. That way, you can periodically scan your network and determine if there is a rogue device. I use something called Fing, Fing, to periodically scan my network, and it tells me what devices are connected to my network. And sometimes it actually does a good enough job to identify whether it's a laptop, a desktop, a phone, or whatever type of device it is. But yeah, naming your devices is a very smart thing to do. And then only allowing those devices to have access to your network, but then also periodically checking your network to see what types of devices are connected to them.
Well, that's what I do for our streaming services is every once in a while I'll go through and I'm like, how in the heck do I have 20 different devices hooked up?
Yeah.
So I start kicking them off. And then I change my password.
Yeah, there you go. So your neighbors probably get mad at you every time you.
No, I think it's the children that share it.
Uh
Hey, at least they're
oh.
sharing, right? Haven't we told them to do that ever since they were little?
They say sharing is caring, right?
I know. Maybe I'm being a stick in the mud.
Now, Joe is saying that his router announces every time a device attaches. Now, that is good. I hadn't figured out how to do that directly on my router, but I think Fing does that. Because I think, yeah, I think I can't remember, but yeah.
I think our mesh system would do that for me. I think it does if I turn the alerts on.
So that's a great tip, though. If you're setting it up for your grandparents or your parents, you can set up some alert for you. So anytime a new device tries to join their network, you get an alert.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yep. Joe brings up another good point. Watch out for people looking to attach to you via Bluetooth. Yeah, I hate that, especially on your phones, especially if you have NFC connected on your phone, the near field. Forgot what NFC actually stands for, but I always tell people to turn that off because now when people can pay by their phone, it uses NFC. And if you have that continuously turned on, in theory, someone could possibly get your banking information that way. Also, with your wallet, make sure you have an RFID blocking wallet because someone can bump up to you and get your information directly from the chip in your wallet. I have an RFID blocking wallet.
So I am not crazy for not wanting to put my card information on my phone and do pay. Like I don't have anything in my Google Wallet.
Yeah. So now, Joe, if you're still listening, you can tell me what you think about this. I think it do if you have that NFC turned off. The problem is so many people have it turned on. Because here's what I do. I've been testing out Google Wallet recently, and I've got a card, but let's just say it's a prepaid card with only a predefined amount of money. So whatever. But each time I go up to a register, I have to actually go and turn on the NFC and then scan it. But you see a lot of people, they just walk up to the register, ding, ding. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, you've got this thing turned on and people can sit next to you and really if they know what they're doing, get your information.
Yeah, I'm okay with not putting it on my phone.
Yeah. I don't blame you, but just realize that's the way of the world nowadays. I just read an announcement that Google Pay is now going to allow you to be able to pay with your watch. If you have a smart watch with Google Pay on it, you can now use PayPal, I think it is, on Google Pay on your watch. And before they had restricted that. So now we're being moved more and more to this cashless type of society. And we definitely need to make sure that we have better controls in place for ourselves. So if you've just joined us today, we've talked about a scam where people were mostly attacking elderly people. I say attacking, cyber attack, and getting them to send them money by creating fake. What am I trying to say, Christine? I'm losing my whole train of thought at the end of today's episode.
Fake viruses.
Yeah, fake viruses or fake computer problems. There we go. Fake computer problems, and they were coercing them into paying them money, either a flat fee or a scaling fee, and they were funneling that money through India and money laundering that money. Sorry.
And like you always say, help out the people in your family, around you in your communities. Get that education out. Let them know that you're there if anything comes up, especially if you're, tech savvy on the computer and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. That is today's episode. And Joe is saying they should all watch the first 30 minutes of Beekeeper. Yes. Now, Brent coming in at the end. Apple's wallet uses a dummy credit card number, which changes each time. Yes. There are a few others that do that too. There are a couple of banks that actually do that if you have a virtual card. So you have a virtual card that's attached to your physical card, but the virtual card actually rotates. And I think Bank of America is one. I could be wrong, but there are a few banks that actually do that now too. So thanks, Brent. And you know what? To that extent, though, actually using your phone is probably more secure than your actual physical credit card because it's changing numbers each time. That's another thing I wanted to mention because I know there are a few business bank accounts that do that.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So thank you for joining us on today's episode. Now, as I say with every episode, if you need a kick butt audit trainer for your IIA association, your ACFE, or even ISACA, well, give me a call. And coming up in the next few weeks, I might have a few special announcements for a few appearances that I might be doing at a few IIA events. So stay tuned, people. Stay tuned. Christine, any closing words?
No, don't click links. Know what
Yeah.
sites you're visiting.
Don't
Update your security on your computer. Reminder for myself.
Right? So, all right, people, we'll see you all next week.